Hi there. I thought I'd do a little under 1.5 goals trading for you in this video. But before I do that, my usual caveat, I am not a football trader. This is simply my interpretation with a view to automation within Fairbot of a strategy that you'll find freely available on the internet. So with that out of the way, let's bash on. The idea of this is to look for matches where you think there will be goals, but predominantly in the second half, or that's what you're hoping for. Because what we're looking for is this time decay in the unders 1.5 market. So we're at half time at the moment, and you'll see that we've dropped down to 1.7. What we're going to do is actually lay the unders, but we're going to lay at 1.5. Now that hopefully should happen within 10 minutes of the second half. I'm not watching the match, so I don't know how entertaining it's been. I've just been developing this automated strategy tonight. So ideally what we want is this to come down to 1.5, at which point we'll lay the unders. If the match continues with no goals, however, we want to get out, and our get out point is 1.1, so we'll green out at 1.1, assuming there's no goals. If there is a goal, however, after we've laid the unders, the odds will obviously jump up. However, we're not going to trade out, although you could if you wanted to. That's not what this strategy is all about. Instead, we're effectively going to move our get out point, our stop loss, if you like, to the point where we get in. So in other words, we are going to move it up to 1.5, and we're simply going to wait for the second goal. Now, if that second goal isn't forthcoming, by the time the odds have fallen back down to 1.5, we'll trade out there. So essentially, we're going to scratch the trade. If, however, there is a second goal, that means we win the full stake back. So that the risk to reward is actually quite good. So, for example, if we used a stake of £100, so that would be a liability of 50, assuming that we lay at 1.5. If we're going to put our stop loss at 1.1, we will lose approximately 2/3 to 3/4 of our overall stake. That compared to actually winning twice what our liability is. So the risk to reward doing this particular strategy is actually quite good. So let's have a look at the strategy I've been developing. I'll get that out of the way and we'll pull up the strategy editor. Look at these individually. So essentially that should read 1.5. I should have a wee error on my part. Okay, so what we're going to do is lay the under 1.5 goals market at odds of 1.5. So we've set it to start relative to in play time. Now it's unlikely that we'll ever see that happening until the second half. However, by setting it to say start monitoring the market at the beginning, it covers the very, very rare occasion where someone has an itchy finger on their mouse and you might be there to grab it. But generally speaking, you won't see this getting matched until the first 10 minutes or so of the second half. So what I'm doing here is I'm placing a bet on the over-unders 1.5 market, specifically the under 1.5 goals. It's a lay bet at fixed odds of 1.5 with a fixed amount of £50 for a liability. In other words, the actual stake will be 100. I don't actually need to keep that because that won't be fired until those odds are met 1.5. So the game will be well past the halfway stage, I would imagine. We also need some conditions. First of all, there mustn't be any goals scored. And it's this point here that tells us to put in the lay bet, where that so effectively just monitors the market until such times as the odds drop to 1.5. And it's not going to put in any lay bets if we've gone past 10 minutes into the second half. Okay, so that's essentially the lay bet taken care of. This rule simply plays a message saying that a goal has been scored, if it detects a goal has been scored. And then these are our two stop losses at 1.1 and 1.5. I forgot to save that. Let me just edit that while I see it before I forget. That should be 1.5. Okay, this message simply plays a message to say that a goal has been scored. And these two here are our stop losses. The first one sticks in a back bet at 1.1. So again, let me just pull up the editor so we can see the detail. And so the action is simply a green up the selection. So that's going to be greening up the under 1.15 goals in the over under 1.5 goals market. But the conditions have to be that there's still no goals scored and the odds have fallen to equal to or less than 1.1 on the under 1.5 goals option. It also checks, just for added security, to check that there's actually been a lay bet that's been fully matched on the under 1.5 goals. Okay. And the last one is essentially similar to this one, except that this one checks to see that there has been a goal. So it checks to see if the number of goals is equal to 1, at which point that triggers it to move the stop loss up to 1.5. So it's going to place a back bet at 1.5 if the odds drop down to 1.5. And again, as confirmation that there's been a lay bet put into the market. So that'll cover our opening lay. And that's essentially it. Now you'll see there's no green up option to go for a profit here, because if we get the second goal, that's what we're aiming for. 2 goals will give us our maximum profit. Only 1 goal, although at that stage, immediately after that goal, we could trade out for a profit. That profit will vary depending at which time the goal was scored in relation to when we placed our initial lay. And so the green up profit will vary from match to match when that occurs. So what we're essentially doing here is saying, okay, let's see if we can get a second goal, but if we don't, we'll scratch the trade when the odds drop back down to 1.5. And that's essentially it. So feel free to browse the settings there and give it a go yourself. What we'll do is I'll just finish the video there. That should be enough for you to be getting on with. But I'll do a follow-up video either at the tail end of this week or early next week to let you see how to expand this still further. Okay, hope you found that useful. Cheers, guys.